This is his greatest story ever told, part 2. Or also I've named it, perhaps better named, The History of the Future of Earth. I described much of the story in the last episode, talking in some of the context of the story, but really not giving you sort of more of the details of the story. So just sort of the quick background, sort of imagine that 5 years ago, let's just say me, somebody figured out this story of how to create like a new global enterprise, a new global bank, and start to deliver prosperity and peace and justice on earth. And that it was really a plan for leaders to get together and figure that out. And really all that would be needed was the source of that and for that information to get to the right minds. And well, in the story 7 years ago, I identified a board of angels, and I named names at the time, and you know, we might make up different names if we were to place this story from here to now to whenever that is, but this is the point. In 2005 I named Steve Jobs, because I wanted him to basically help us run the reformation of the entire technology with architecture of the planet, but also the Google guys and Bill Gates, and not just, you know, to exclude all the other guys, but basically just to say, hey, what if all the technology billionaires out together were to merge their technology enterprises, sort of refashion them, still create competition, but to create better balance of technology with our entire global enterprise and tied to our banking system, and that gets to a bigger picture. And then sort of Bill Gates' mission at the time, which was sort of the vision of this, is because this enterprise would be sort of a charitable enterprise, because our dedication would be advancement of all people. The idea we talked about before is trickle up, trickle down economics. So let's get back to sort of the paradigm. Okay, and I had other guys and said, okay, like, who would you produce? Well, I said Spielberg and cameraman, and I named names. But the key names I named were like the chairman of the board, which was Alan Greenspan. If the plan was right and we could create a reserve bank of the world backed by the world's assets to create infinite money, who better on earth to gobbledygook you into believing it? And the other one was Hu Jintao at the time, which basically he was named as, see, I called him 10 business bulls, 7 political heads. I was trying to resonate to your Bibles because, well, I couldn't possibly explain, I don't think anybody explain or get to justice and peace on earth, or explain how we could all have trust in ourselves, and by having no antitrust but one common trust of us, that we can create prosperity and grow our pie beyond our wildest dream. See, a rising tide doesn't necessarily have to be just global warming. It lifts boats, but you know, we should be worried about global warming, but we have no enterprise to worry about that. I don't want to get off on all those issues, but the global issues do come into play if you're planning the future, but we're not planning a future, we're just living it, and we have no plan nor any context for it. So the idea was, what if the dear leaders of Earth, the rich and the powerful, started getting together and saying, yeah, okay, well, here's the other thing. I declared as my fictional Bibles Ayn Rand's Atlas Shrugged and Fountainhead. They represent part of the principles. I didn't believe in shrugging my ideas. Was, what if those atlases went and bought the world? I did believe in the power of ideas, and actually, the Fountainhead actually had a sort of a parabolic meaning to it, because I believe that, well, technology information comes from the head, and if we put our heads together, well, that's what's changed with the entire inflection point in human history. We have reached an age where the word, well, an important word you might want to look up in this whole thing is called disintermediation, because this is the kind of show that if this show took off, it would become beyond Facebook, beyond Google. It would be the show of the history of the future of us. Everybody would in it, and, well, that's why in my plan it was, hey, I'll give everybody on the planet $1 down and a movie contract to be in the history of the future of us. That's an enterprise guy thinking beyond all, you know, buy all the enterprises, buy out the movie contract rights, because when you grow this great movie, well, and make everybody rich and famous, you want a big cut of the action. Well, who's getting the cut of the action? The people, and it gets surrounding. But anyway, that's the part that, like, may be different than Ayn Rand, because she accepted government, but she didn't accept or even understand that, well, if you accept democracy, well, if you got all the wealth, you're going to get voted out. Obviously, she didn't have the solution, and that's what I'm saying is, I believe if we allow the top, I call them the goats, they said when Jesus returned, he would separate between the sheep and the goats. Well, the sheep and the meek shall inherit the earth, right? Well, the goats, well, we didn't know it until modern times. We didn't know a lot of things till modern times, and that's part of the point of it all. Until the last 50-so years, we didn't know a lot of things. And, well, the goat, as Muhammad Ali, is the greatest of all time. And, well, see, we need the greatest of all time to lead. And, well, let the enterprises lead not as governments, but lead as enterprises with the advancement of our people and build an economic order and system. And I won't go into the technicals because you have to write all the details. I just came up with the connecting of the dots. Now, connecting the dots then goes back to when we started talking about some of this, the biblical paradigm. How would you have a cross-connect? That's really right what we need to get to. Cross-connect the biblical paradigms. Well, you know, you see my shirt here. Okay, what have we got here? We got, okay, which is the biggest war here? Okay, let's talk about these. This one. Which one? This one here. Okay, those of you from the 60s, remember that? That's the peace symbol. It might have had other religious, not that one, not there, that one there, right there, I mean, index finger. That one, that E one, I don't know. It's got a plus and a thing, like meaning man and woman equal, maybe. That might be another symbol. Okay, but maybe a religious, I don't know, I could look it up. I don't know about that I. Oh, and what's our... And this global symbol is the yin and the yang, and actually that's sort of like when we get on the both sides. It's like, okay, if the communists and capitalists really got together and said, what do we do best, or what do we want, what do you want, how do we build this better? But actually, the only way to do it is, as I said, that infinite bank of infinite money. It's like manna from heaven that God endowed us with as soon as we choose justice and peace in earth and create a framework for it. Imagine that. We've got manna from heaven that even an atheist could say, whoa, if I've got the ability to secure my posterity, well, it's got to make you start wanting to think about being an atheist, right? I mean, I could claim being the Pope of the Atheist Church because it's really the story of our own intelligent design and the fact that a single human is a part of a larger organism of humanity, and that our prosperity is connected and tied to one and all. And, well, for the great, they almost have an obligation to be greater, because, well, does anybody have a plan for the great to be greater? Well, I have a plan for the great to buy out and reorganize and restructure the entire world. And, well, and for all of the other people to become greater as we build humanity's enterprise together. Now, so that's the story. Well, how does it tie? How do you connect to the religions? Well, you know, okay, so we've got this ones. Okay, so let's get to the end state. Let's get to the beginning. Okay, sort of over here, when you get here, okay, when you get into the yin and the yang, that sort of cross connects with is this maybe one of these is Hinduism, but anyway, there is Hinduism and Buddhism, which are a big part of it, and I believe they're closely linked to Christianity, that they're like cross-connected between Buddhism and Christianity, and Hinduism and Christianity, and the notions of karma. And of course, you know that, well, most people know, or some people know, that this one, the moon and the star, that is Islam. But the Prophet Muhammad said that Christ was the Messiah, and, well, if Christ was the Messiah for Islam, and Christ was the Messiah, obviously, for the Christians, they can't argue that, right? Then the only question is,
the Jews, he's not the Messiah for. But here's the problem. Well, actually, opportunity. When I did the math, there's 2 billion plus, I get my fingers screwed up, there's 2 billion plus Christians, 1.5 billion Muslims and rising, and so like almost half of the earth of those two, and a very few million of Jews. And well, Jews have a lot of money, which is good because, well, and they're good bankers. And if we do build this bank, we want them to be in the trust with us. But here's the thing. This is the thing. So, they did not accept Christ as the Messiah. However, what if we could buy them into accepting it? Yes, they take money. No, I'm just being teasing. No. Well, actually, in a way, you have to buy out their minds. And you say, oh, wait a minute. Yes, we didn't accept him because he didn't become the king of peace and justice on earth. We expected a king Messiah, and he didn't become king. However, if by accepting his teachings and recognizing how they touch to their own teachings and recognizing that Jesus himself was a prophet and that, well, he never gave up being a Jew, so there's nothing in the world that couldn't allow Jews to say, hey, you know what? At this time of arrival, it's now time to accept that the teachings of Jesus represent a salvation. And, well, this is what I built. I called it, probably somebody built it before anything I ever invented or created. It came out of minds of somebody else. I can't imagine creating anything novel here, but I called this a risen cross. You see, when the small t becomes a higher t with the Star of David, and well, it ties to Islam and all of it. And if we're all working for the same God, well, then we can connect across a religion. And if you actually look at our rules, they're almost the same. Now, why does this matter? Because I'm also looking at technology, and looking at technology, we need to look at what is the software code of people. How are we going to design our people and our families? And that's one of the things that unfettered technology proliferation can make really problematic. We need to have, well, a safe and secure internet that has respect for people and respect for our heritage. Well, and we need to build this system together. We need to build it not to fail, but to succeed. We need to build it so it's too big to fail. In fact, guess what? If you build it, it doesn't even matter that they come, but they will come, because part of building is build families. And what I suggest building, what do I suggest building? We should build more housing. How do I suggest building it? Well, I have a new banking system where the bank helps equitize your housing. And, well, if the bank equitizes your housing, and, well, and what happens if we have good deflation and the costs of things go down, and, well, and the value of us goes up, and, well, anyway, it's an entirely new information economy idea. But in this TV game show, let me get back to that, who, as I'll just sort of finish off, anybody who wants to help me produce it, because I'm too insane to do it on my own. Okay, in this TV game show, there would be opportunities, and this would be cross-cultural, cross-nation, to, like, create questions, and within it, we would basically have an online game, and we would offer, like, points. And those points, well, we'll have to go through the legal laws, because we might even set up a virtual nation outside of the world of nations, a virtual nation in the internet. And that gets to entire other thing. But what I'm looking for the producers is to agree to contribute their profits to charitable enterprise, because I think the profits could be in the billions. And if we're going to make billions, why not give it back to charity? And if you're a good producer, you probably need lots of tax write-offs anyway. So that's my proposal to anybody and everybody. And because the idea should be everybody that helps should get a cut of the profits. That's why I called myself the Prophet of Prophets. Thank you very much. Bye bye.